Thanks, Phil. So, as Phil has just said, getting clear, which hat are we wearing? What role are we playing here? And then how do we bring coaching into it? Given that we're aiming, for many of us to be human-centered, to bring the best out in others. So part of it is understanding, okay, what is the hat that I'm wearing here? What is the role I'm playing? And so just briefly, some of the roles that we can play. Yeah, being a manager, someone who sets goals, sets the visions, brings the team together, often experts in what they're doing, following best practice, supporting their team to be the best that they can be. Another role is, another role is, sorry, I've just got my slides a little confused, trainer. Okay, so trainers, they can be often external, but even if they're internal, they tend to be short term. So they come in, they do the work that they need to go, but then at the end, often the support, the ongoing support is missing. Then there's, of course, counsellor, very different work to being the coacher, manager or trainer. Often coaches or managers, if they notice that someone is struggling in a particular way emotionally or psychologically, then we refer to counsellors or therapists. That's the inner work that's done separate often, even though the inner work influences both our personal and professional lives. It's not the expertise of the coach or the manager and trainer. The next one is our friend. So often these, with this hat, not very objective often, they're there, they're our friends, they're in it, they want to have the conversation, they're on our side, they'll back us 100%, which is wonderful and very different, again, from a coaching conversation and bringing out the thinking in a different way, although some of our friends can do that. Another role that many of us play is, or at times, mentor. And this tends to be a more informal position. It's a one-on-one, and it's focused on the longer term growth and development of the person that we're connecting with, the wise advisor or sounding board. And then finally, but not the least, the leader. And the leader can, of course, we can swap hats in our leadership role. We can be doing different elements of all of this at different times, depending on the relationships and what's needed. What's important to notice is that in the middle of this, in the middle of all our roles, there is the opportunity to coach. So by thinking about the power of conversations, by understanding that we're wanting to bring the best out in our people and the language that we use, how do we harness all of that to, at times, coach, even when we've got these different hats on? But there's always the opportunity to ask good questions. The key to bring the best out in others, basically, the key, of course, is the trust, the levels of trust that we have with our people. And it's important to understand that no matter the role that we're playing, the level of trust we have will influence the outcome of our conversations, particularly in a coaching piece. So this lovely little model here, it's talking about trust, tension, and value. So the difference between these three roles, friends, coach, and then the experience of a micromanager. So I'll just be interested, as I'm moving through, if you think the trust or tension is high, I'll get you to go up or down for low. It's about thinking about a coaching conversation with a friend. What's the trust like? High, low? High, yep, absolutely. What about the tension in the conversation? Is it really challenging? Often high, low, just as a friend? Yeah, sort of medium. Yeah, we say that it's not as high as other relationships. And then the value of the conversation from a coaching perspective, not so high. Yeah, I know. Again, they're on our side, aren't they? Whether that's supporting us to be our best or not, that's their role. When we think of a coach, what's the trust like? Yeah. What it often has is the aim is for it to become very high, but it's often incremental. It takes time to build. So we need to be conscious around that, because it's the same with the tension that we create with our questions. We need to understand that that is incremental, and it needs to be incremental. If we're too challenging, too fast, we can cause the person to withdraw. or to shut down in some way. So with the trust, when we're coaching, building the trust and then incrementally increasing the challenge of the way that we're engaging in the questions that we're asking so that we can work towards the highest value in the conversation. In converse or in contrast, thinking about a micromanager, who's ever been micromanaged before? Yeah. What's the trust like with the micromanager? Yeah, absolutely. Really low, really low. What's the tension like? Sky high. Yeah, I know, on edge, watching out. Absolutely. What's the value of the conversations? No, Dad, yeah, good. So very low value. In fact, what's important to notice in micromanaging is more than low value, it can actually detract.
Destructive.
Yes, yeah, disruptive. Absolutely, Nicole. So that's just a really lovely way to think about trust, because trust basically underpins, as we know, all our relationships. But within the coaching context, it's really important to understand how do we allow it to build incrementally so that we can increase the value of the conversations that we're having.